It's nearly been 4 years and the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is directly under central government's rule. Although there has been a lot of buzz when we talk about the state assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir, but there is no headway. It's still directionless. In this scenario, we have with us President of PC, People's Conference, Sajad Ganilon. Thank you, Sajad, for talking to the Republic. At present in Jammu and Kashmir, there are three important issues. First, abrogation of Article 370, restoration of statehood, or assembly elections. What is your take on these issues?
Well, look, none of them is in my hands. First of all, abrogation of Article 370, which is a very sentimental issue in J&K. It is in the court, it's in the Supreme Court. And there is very little that the people of J&K or the leadership here can do, apart from trying their luck in the courts. Having said that, nothing in a country's history is carved in stone. Article 370 went away. So abrogation will be as precarious, as fragile as the Article 370 turned out to be. So I wouldn't give up. You know, I don't believe that in politics or in histories of countries, something is absolute and end of the story. There is no end of the road. The roads never end, they are open-ended in countries. So I wouldn't give up hope. The second is statehood. I think typically the current ruling dispensation in Delhi has not shown any objection to giving statehood. I don't see any reason why they don't give it now, today. Every single day that they don't have statehood here is a political sin against the people of J&K. If every state in J&K, in the Union of India has a statehood, why shouldn't J&K have a statehood? And third, elections, I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But I don't see the current LG administration in any mood to give up the perks of power that they are enjoying. It's a dream for any LG or any officer, IAS, IPS, KS, to have so much power. Why would they give up? So they're creating conditions, and Delhi, somehow, I don't know, it's in slumber and seems to be accepting whatever they tell them. And so there is a lot of incentive from a very strong pressure group to not have elections. So I don't see them happening very soon.
You are saying, you are alleging rather, that lot of misinformation is going to Delhi. Are you telling me that?
I did not say that. I just said there is a strong pressure group, the entire state administration, what they feed to Delhi and what Delhi chooses to believe or not believe them, that it doesn't seem, I'd be very surprised if elections are held very soon.
You were part of PAGD. Rather, you were instrumental in getting every constituent together to form an alliance. Then why did you leave?
That's a closed chapter. I have said, what I had to talk about it. And I really don't want to delve in it. Yes, I was one of the people who we all got together. But there were some disagreements. And let bygones be bygones.
But what made you to part ways when you put really your blood, sweat, everything to get everybody on board?
My sweet wish. Go on. I'm not talking about it.
What about if you say that, do you still believe that the parties, the regional parties of Jammu and Kashmir, they all should come together and contest elections? What is your take on it?
Look, I will tell you one thing. In 2019, the biggest lesson that we had was that even when they jailed all of us together, it didn't matter on the ground. When you talk of 370, it's a matter which has to be taken by the people of India. If you don't go to courts, the other court is the constitutional court, the people's court. So J&K people alone will not have to decide. If tomorrow elections are held and you get all 90 seats, doesn't mean those 90 seats can get Article 370 back.
Yeah.
I think the need that today is how many parliament seats can you convince of the need to give it back or have a new relook on Kashmir, on J&K.
While Centre has not taken any step regarding the restoration of Article 370, or for that matter, they have not given any indications as far as the early election is concerned. Why is it so that every party in Jammu and Kashmir, they are not focusing on the main issues, but they are more focusing on mudslinging or calling each other the team A team or the B team of BJP. Even your party was accused as the proxy of BJP. What is your stand on that?
None whatsoever. This is in politicians. Not only why are you only attacking parties in J&K? Look what they are doing in India and the rest of the country. They are jailing them, jailing each other. So don't get surprised when somebody calls A team or B team, and I don't want to get into it. I am on national TV. Why should I call somebody a B team? I won't. I won't.
So is it just to keep the cadre more close? It should be there.
That we will know when and if Delhi holds elections, we will come to know, who stands where. At the end of the day, people have to vote. Politicians don't have to vote. We all have one vote. So वो तो बाद में मालूम पड़ेगा. Abhi let them say what.
You say that people have to vote. So what is the people's pulse on ground? You have been moving in your constituency. You are interacting with people. So what is the pulse that you have felt?
People, I think, they do feel belittled. They do feel humiliated. And you don't need to be a genius. In a democracy, people do have a sway over their elected representatives. Good or bad, democracy is a concept where people have a bigger say. They would go to their elected representatives, shout at them, why don't you let us in, why are we waiting? You can't do that with these officers. In one particular case, somebody said something and in the evening he was put under PSA by a DC or jailed, I don't know. So people want a popular government, whosoever it is. Let it be their worst enemy. But they want that there should be people who are accountable, who have to come after 5 years and seek re-election. This is the pulse I felt, and I could be wrong. Maybe the angels that Delhi has sent here in the form of IAS officers and IPS and others, those angels are doing such angelic work that people want them to stay. I haven't met one such person. If you do, kindly, I would also want to have a look at him.
Are you telling that the voice of voiceless is getting choked in present dispensation?
No. I'm not saying anything. You tell me. I'm saying when people don't have an outlet. You see, we as politicians are trained to take abuses from people, mingle with them, interact with them. That's our bread and butter. This is not the bread and butter of a bureaucrat. He is trained to be away from people, to write on files. So yes, there is that vacuum which is there.
That needs to be filled.
Look, I will tell you something. I will not demand that you hold elections and it should be filled. आज का हीरो कल का विलन भी हो सकता है. Those who are calling the shots today will have to answer. History will judge them very harshly for these periods, mark my words. These very same people of India who today are unsure about what is happening in Kashmir will one day rise and say what nonsense was happening there. People who give, for example, the favorite theme of media, it's about development. It's not a Kiryana shop that you rebuild in 3 years. For any meaningful development in a state like J&K, hilly terrain, huge, to be noticed, it would take a decade. And you're saying we came first in this, we came first in that. What joy? It's a utter mockery. And pardon me for saying the national media, the main TV channels, I'm not talking about those Facebook channels, have let the people of J&K down as ever since 1947. Because if you see in 1987 we had one of the most massive riggings and the Indian press, national press was Gandhi ji ke bandar kuch dekha nahi, kuch suna nahi, kuch bologe nahi, and it's the same today. So all these phrases that we have seen, you have this favorite Kashmiri Muslim villain, that he is the villain, he's the stone pelter, he's the militant, he's this. These are 0.005%. Who drove them there? Who created that system? They are in front of you. Nobody has lifted his or her little finger at them. They are there where they were.
It's a big allegation that you're making.
About 87, I'm not making any allegation. It's a documented fact. There are people who are fighting elections, and now if you look at them today, either they are dead, shot by security forces, or they are in jails. You have, Problem is that we today live in such a system that you could be hauled up for speaking the truth. For example, take Yasin Malik, he is your favorite enemy. But before he picked up the gun, is it not true that 9 FIRs were lodged against him in 1987 by Congress and NC because he dared to be an election agent of a candidate from Amira Kadal? तब तो उसने बंदूक नहीं उठाई थी. And then you arrest his family members, you arrest him, and he gets fed up and picks up the gun, which we condemn. But now that you have punished him, now also punish those people who forced him to do this. But no, in national interest, nobody will talk about it. Because if you say 87 was rigged, that means the world community will say all elections were rigged. So better not talk about it. So what I am saying is that even today now what is happening, that people are there, people will come, oh, development, oh, yeah, and this. Do you know, but some things they have done really well. If you want, I will ask, tell me. I really, they have done something which we couldn't do.
You talked about the people of
For example, they made this Dal Lake in 3 years. There were no mountains. They made them. The Chinars we didn't have. They did, and now we have Chinars also. Everything this government has done in the last 3 years. The river Jhelum wasn't there. They created it in these 3 years. These are amazing things that they have done.
You have been a part of the system. You have worked with the government of BJP and alliance with PDP. So you talked about what is happening after the abrogation, and now this Union Territory of Jammu Kashmir is under central rule. What about Jammu? You specifically talked about
Jammu and Kashmir.
I'm just thinking, what about in Jammu? Do you get the same kind of pulse from the people who were really celebrating when abrogation happened on 5th of August?
I will not say that they are repenting it today, but I think they are in search of a voting machine. And I think they will express themselves when you give them a vote. And I think it will be perverse to what everybody is thinking, how they will vote. The emotionalism of the past may not work this time. That's my feeling.
Since you talked about Yasin Malik, but Yasin was involved in so many things, so many incidents, and that is why he is languishing in jail. Then there are other separatist leaders. It's more like a crackdown on terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. Aren't you happy now that the boys are not getting killed? There is no hartal call, the business is running smooth, or at least the kids are going to school. Let's take this instead of...
No, why should I be unhappy? Of course I'm happy. Of course I'm happy. I'm very happy. And this is how law and order should be. But it's very easy to brush aside and say the terrorists are in jail. Who is a terrorist and who is not a terrorist? Has to be decided. And tell me one thing, if in 87 you rig a system that till now 60,000-70,000 people have died, now one side you are put in jail, okay fine, what about the other side? When will you put them in jail? When will you at least seek answers? Why did you do this? Why are there so many graveyards filled with bodies pumped with bullets? When will you do that? You don't want to do that.
When you were part of system, why didn't you use it?
Oh, 2.5 years, and I was an animal husbandry minister, so I should have done, okay, I'm sorry.
But you were close to power corridors. It was not about only holding the portfolio of...
Can do nothing. Yes, this government should do. They should do it. Why aren't they doing it? Now they have everything. There is no excuse. Let them hold. Not only 1987, there have been many other instances during governor rules also. Right? All I'm saying is that stop, what they've done is they put sort of in an equation the different variables. Apparently Delhi today thinks that the variable of people in J&K does not matter. But I really think that, people matter everywhere. It's only a matter of time.
But do you appreciate that crackdown on terror is there?
It was always there.
It is much better in a mechanized form.
It was always there. There is no doubt about it. Madam, I have myself seen torture which you don't do today. Don't bail out the previous perpetrators. There was always a crackdown. ऐसा नहीं है कि आज ही हुआ है. It's.
But action against the separatists, the way it has been done.
No, I think.
For that matter, whether it is Yasin Malik, it is Shabir.
They've always languished in jail. Shabir Shah has spent 40 years in jail. 4 years under
The
this.
properties were
Okay,
not
4 years.
confiscated.
4 years now. 36 years passed. Go 36 years, will you forget about it? There has been action in the past also. Don't sell this story that it's only now. I'm not against anybody. It's good. We need in law and order, do what we need to uphold the law of the land. Fine.
And do you agree the situation has changed post-abrogation in terms of law and order? Let's not talk about development.
Stone pelting, I would give them the benefit of doubt, yes. They have stopped it. Fine. And I have always been against it. Because if I don't allow my child to indulge in stone pelting, why should somebody else's child be encouraged? Gun, I have never spoken in favor of it. Yes, fine, let them. But civilians should not be targeted. The civilian death certainly is much less compared to the previous governments. There is no doubt about it. If you look at the numbers. But the other costs, the non-military costs of getting this peace may be very high.
Is it the government is trying to buy peace or trying to...
It's not trying to buy peace, it's trying to force peace. Peace has to evolve.
So it has
Don't
not
take,
evolved yet?
look, there.
It has not evolved yet?
No, not at all. You see, you are mistaking fear for consent. So if I'm scared of me, doesn't mean that I consent to whatever you tell me. Fear and consent are two different things.
So it's fair.
It's not
It's a
consent.
wave of fear.
No, it's not consent. That's what I'm saying.
So you are saying it's wave of fear. Anyway.
No, I did not say, right? Look, I told you, don't look at a headline. I have no headlines. I'm a very small person with a small party, so there are no headlines here. So what I said is that the cost of establishing this peace could have been much lower. You don't need to alienate an entire population to get peace. After all, लड़ कौन रहा है? मर तो कश्मीरी मुसलमान रहा है ना? These are Kashmiri policemen, Muslims who are dying. Kashmiri Muslims dying for their country. Right? And yet the other half, the civilians, you push them aside and say, now we're getting babus from outside to rule you. It's very unfair. An average Indian, compare him with the average domiciled person of J&K. They are the ones who are fighting this war. And what do you do to us? You send people from there to govern us. You don't hold elections. Why? Why on earth? Why? Why should you do this? Why doesn't anybody ask them that if they are the ones sacrificing, if they are upholding Indian integrity there, why are we doing this to them? ये तो गलत बात है. This is wrong. This is unfair.
What do you have to tell those people who are trying to target or they are killing the people when they are in deep sleep? What do you have to tell those people who are targeting vendor, laborer?
They will rot in heaven. They will rot in hell. They will go to hell and the others will go to heaven. That's my belief. Right? They are victims of the worst perpetrators. And I have my belief they will rot and rot in hell. क्या कर सकते हैं? This is what they have done. I mean, so we have lost dear ones. I lost my own father to such cowards. What do you do? But these attacks, I can tell you, you cannot stop because these are lunatic, isolated attacks. And we as Kashmiris, because it happens mostly in Kashmir, we can't do anything. We are targets. We are victims. So, for example, जब ये होता है, there should be no anger against us because we are, हमारे भी तो लोग मारे गए हैं इन्हीं लोगों से. It's not that they targeted us in the past. They will target us in the future. At the moment, they are going after a poor laborer. Sorry?
What has changed?
I didn't talk about change. You were talking about change. Your channel always likes to talk about change. मैंने तो कुछ बोला ही नहीं. वो तो आप ही change का बोल रहे थे. वो तो मुझे पूछना चाहिए. I should be asking you what has changed.
Anyways, among all regional parties, we have been seeing Mehbooba Mufti of PDP more in confrontation with centre. Is it a ploy or an act that her stance gives her party an edge over the upcoming elections? How do you view as an opponent of Ms. Mufti?
I wouldn't, and I should not be, I worked and I should not be commenting on one person, one individual. I should not be commenting. So, you see, I'll tell you something, and I'm not talking about Ms. Mufti. Confrontation with centre, ask me, because I've gone to jail. I've been interrogated.
She too was
right?
almost.
Yeah, that was, yeah, I do agree. But that was, I'm talking of the other jail, Papa 2, right? That was a very notorious jail. And we're talking of third degree interrogation, other Kashmiris also. When this confrontation, I don't think it helps the people of Kashmir.
Okay.
Right? We should not confront, because we have to get something out of them.
So no need to take confrontation.
Yeah, first get and then take confrontation.
Okay.
Don't start now. Why are you trying to impede something?
Sajad don't saying Miss Mufti.
No, I did not talk. No. I did not talk about her. Please do not misquote me. I said I should not be talking about her. I have worked under her. But as a concept, I am saying is that what we need today, what the leadership today needs, is to rise to the occasion and see how we can convince, facilitate deliverance from New Delhi. Let us start with the statehood first, and then talk about Article 370. Then talk about elections. These are things which can be done, creating an environment in the entire country where people of India should ask them, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you giving them statehood back? Why aren't you holding elections there? So in today's world of media, of digitalization, so many voices come, and the way they misrepresent and misinterpret, what happens is a villainous image of an average Kashmiri is constructed in the entire country, which I think is detrimental and bad for us. I believe that as a political worker, I should stop that. I should impede that and try to create a much more friendlier image of an average person from J&K, so that we have people with us. As I told you, even if we get 90 seats, we cannot restore our lost political legacy, which means Article 370, which means statehood, which means getting back to a popular rule, because the decision has to be taken in Delhi. This is something which we need to understand, that this assembly or these people, the power has been taken away from us, we have been disempowered.
Yes.
And empowerment will flow from there. And we have to convince and create pressure across the country. So that's what I feel we should be doing.
Last time there was an all-party meet called by Prime Minister. You were part of it. That time Prime Minister said, "Dil aur Delhi ki duri ko kam karna hai." Right? What happened then after you met or the others met Prime Minister? Wasn't that on a positive note? Whatever was promised, wasn't it delivered? Whatever happened between...
Look, I'll tell you something. He is the Prime Minister of the country, and for him everybody is equal. So he's made a statement. So I think the onus is on him to measure the distance.
Wasn't it delivered?
Not you or me. The Prime Minister made the statement, and I think, you should better be asking him than me. He would be able to, he will be able to talk about that statement, whether the distance has increased or decreased.
J&K, after the abrogation of Article 370, witnessed so many new changes, right? Now we are seeing the Ghulam Nabi Azad entering into regional politics. As again an opponent, political leader, how do you see his entry into Jammu and Kashmir?
Yeah, he has every right to. He is a part of this political system. He has been a resident of J&K and a very tall national leader. So he has every right to come and, make a party and fight elections, like all of us do. So I see nothing, the more the merrier.
Meanwhile, Delimitation Commission also completed its work, but then regional parties like National Conference, PDP, raised objections, reservations as far as the final draft was concerned. What is your take on that?
Which final draft?
Delimitation Commissions.
We were the first ones to raise the draft. National Conference was a part of that. They were in there. Farooq Saab was in. Look, I will tell you, there is a problem with the media now. Now, we will raise a voice, you will say they raised the voice. I think in your speech, in your interview, I was scared after that, to be very honest with you. We were the ones who were fighting it out. And she was a part of the dilemma. They were there, in there.
That time you were...
Yeah, there were good photographs and everything else. What are you saying? They were a part of that, which was actually they sort of, Kashmiris were thrown under the bus. I mean, said they were 3 seats there, just 1 seat here. And National Conference was a part of the delimitation process. Later on, belatedly, they remembered that we had to speak against it. So we were the ones who first...
Part of PhD then?
No,
You talked about.
No, galat aapko yaad hai. When I talked, I was out of PhD. आपको गलत याद है.
But formally the announcement was not.
No, there was a formal announcement. उससे पहले 6 महीने हमारा डिवोर्स हुआ था उनसे. हाँ, 6-7 महीने.
Anyways, Sajad Sahab, if tomorrow National Conference and PDP, the main regional parties, they come and they contest polls together, where do you see standing of your party then?
We all think we will win. Everybody thinks we will win. Nobody thinks he will lose. Nobody fights to lose. So let's wait for that day. If and ever the LG administration gives us some space.
Critical about LG.
I'm not critical, but I'm saying they're having a good time.
They're having
A good time, yeah. I feel jealous at
Keeping you
times.
in pains.
They're having a bloody good time. I mean, they're really having a good time. And this is something we all know it.
Anyways, now we are seeing after Congress, National Conference, we are witnessing change of guard. Elections to be will be held for president party post. Say, why is it taking place now? Because as we know, Farooq Saab has been holding the hands for decades together. Why this sudden change now?
I don't know.
What is your take?
Why should I talk about National Conference?
No, but you have worked, not worked, but you have seen the National Conference and the PDP all very closely.
Who cares?
Why do they want
I
to-
frankly don't. None of my business. You know what they do in their party. Why should I be commenting on that?
Okay, anyways, I'll take one last question with you. As far as the situation in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, is it good, better or best? Both politically, as far as the law and order is concerned, or as far as the development is concerned, if we sum up all three.
I will sacrifice anything in my life. Give me and my people, our people, the people of J&K, their rights back. As long as they are disempowered, as long as they don't have their rights, as long as they are the ones who call the shots, who don't rule the state, I don't think anything is good.
Thank you so much, Sajad, for speaking to Republic.